Welcome aboard, everyone. It's about time. So many people out there are doing movie reviews. My good friends, the Monster Men, and numerous other fine entities out there on YouTube. And I thought it was time for Brad and I to do the same. So, how are you, Brad?
Pretty good. How are you, Anthony?
Excellent, excellent. On this fine, thundery evening, at least we can regale the public with some tales of some movies that we've seen.
Yeah, well, of course, we've both seen a lot of movies, and some we've liked more than others. So we're gonna feature some of these movies tonight.
Yes, it's interesting. About a year ago, I purchased, or a year and a half ago, actually, I purchased my Roku box. You familiar with that at all?
I am not too familiar. I think I know somebody that may have one, if it's the
Okay.
same.
Well, it's kind of it's similar to Apple TV, whereas you get basically all of your internet streaming services in one place on your television, including Netflix and Amazon and Crackle and all the others. So that has certainly given me the opportunity to explore many of these independent and only on Amazon and only on Netflix movies.
Yeah, well, that's a great resource to have, and I'll have to look into that
Ap-
possibly. I'm a little
ap-
behind the curve sometimes in the technology, so eventually I'll get it.
indeed, but when you do, you'll be opening yourself up to a new world of movies you didn't even know existed. And I have a couple of them here tonight. And well, I've got a couple, and you've got a couple. So let's have you lead off.
Okay. What would be a good leadoff movie? Let's go with a comedy
A comedy.
called The Dictator.
Oh, yes.
Sacha Baron Cohen and Anna Faris star in this movie. For years, the Republic of Wadiya has been ruled by Admiral General Hafez al-Assad, who is played by Sacha Baron Cohen. He's a childish, tyrannical, sexist, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic despot who surrounds himself with female bodyguards, sponsors Al Qaeda, and is working on developing nuclear weapons to attack Israel. And he eventually meets his love interest while traveling through New York, and her name is Zoe, and she's played by Anna Faris. And the movie goes into their relationship and sort of the difference in culture of the two. The movie was hysterically funny, had a lot of funny gags. I would say compared to Borat and even Bruno, this was probably more mainstream for those with top 40 tastes,
Hmm.
I would say, than those two. But it still was, it was, Sacha Baron Cohen doing what he does.
Yeah.
And he did it very well in this movie. I would give this, 3.5 stars, maybe even 4 stars.
Yeah, I
It
actually
was hysterical.
I saw it as well. I found it very enjoyable, and it kind of in some places it kind of touched on real life a little bit, or
Yeah,
sort of analogous to real life.
exactly.
Yeah, that certainly helped. And if you remember the very shall we say the bodyguard with very large assets who breaks a concrete block at one point in the movie.
Uh-huh.
She is actually a famous former stripper, I believe, named Busty Hart,
Oh,
going by her real name in the movie, and I forget what that is, but
okay.
yeah. So 3.5 stars.
Yep.
Okay. Very good, very good. Now I'm going to lead off with one, which is actually a sequel. Uh, this came out, I believe it was last summer, and it's called, of course, Ted 2. And if you, for those of you out there, if you remember the original Ted movie, of course, boy gets a teddy bear, wishes that he could really talk, and magically one evening a star passes overhead, and the next day the bear's alive and talking. At first to the terror of his parents, and then to their amazement. And as the movie says, in later years, as the bear aged and Johnny, the main character, aged, people just stopped giving a blank. So that was Ted, the original Ted, and the original movie had a very nice plot. Basically, he has to save his bear from the evil clutches of a villain who's trying to capture him. The second movie, the sequel, Ted 2, I liked the fact that they preserved a lot of the interesting characters from the first movie, like Donnie. He's sort of the antagonist. Patrick Stewart is the narrator. A lot of Ted's friends, Johnny's friends, and Ted's friends. Ted's girlfriend, who is now about to become his wife. Or actually has already married her, and that actually makes for the plot line or the centerpiece of the plot line for the second movie, because they kind of get sort of real world issues involved. Basically, a court rules that Ted, the bear, is not a person and therefore is not able to get a marriage license.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so sort of analogous to kind of the real life things that are going on in the world, about another certain group who wants to get married. But it was done in a I thought it was very enjoyable. They even had a kind of a screw up girl that Ted hires as his lawyer, or Johnny gets Ted as his lawyer, but then she needs help and she goes to Morgan Freeman, who's like the really good civil rights lawyer, and he played a good role in the movie. And Tom Brady, for those of you who like the Patriots, he plays a little cameo role in here. I thought it got silly at times, but I thought it was very enjoyable. Maybe not better than the first, but from most perspectives worth seeing. So I'm going to go 3 stars.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I never saw Ted 2, so
Hmm.
I can't comment on it. Although I heard there's a Ted 3 coming out, and Ted Cruz will star in that movie.
That would be great. As long as he's not busy as the lead singer of Stryper, right?
Yeah.
That's been going around. But yeah, I
Well,
heard
I
about.
have Ted Zeppelin on my Facebook page,
Ah, very good.
just to see how they do the Photoshop. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. I've seen some of the memes. They're nice.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you go on to your movie number 2?
Okay, movie number 2. All right, this one, there will be a difference of opinion on whether you think this is good or not so good.
Okay.
Hillary the movie. It's
Okay.
a documentary produced in 2008
Hmm.
about who else? Hillary Clinton. And it was actually produced by the conservative nonprofit organization called Citizens United, and they've been in the news for a few things over the years,
Right.
elections and whatnot. Little history about this film. It was scheduled to be offered as a video on demand on cable TV right before the Democratic primaries in January of '08, but as quote-unquote electioneering communication, to do so was illegal under the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act.
Hmm.
Apparently, they thought that the movie had no other there's no other interpretation of the movie other than an appeal to vote against Mrs. Clinton,
Hmm.
thus making it electioneering communication. Well, whether you agree with that or not, I have to say I saw the movie. It's on YouTube because
Right.
I don't think you can find it anywhere else. But I've taken an interest in the presidential election this year and all the candidates and how everything's going down with both parties. I think it's a must see for anyone who's interested in presidential politics. It doesn't matter if you support Hillary or if you're an ABC voter, meaning anybody but Clinton,
Right.
or if you like Trump. It doesn't matter who you support. This is a movie. You can watch it and you can decide for yourself. My conclusion was, if half of the things in that movie are true, we really better think about who we're voting for in the election. I don't
Hmm.
for that anymore.
Let
But
me go
I
ahead.
will say that the movie was done in 2008, so it covers many of her scandals. She's been associated with, as we well know, with dozens of scandals over the years.
Right.
It doesn't include Benghazi or the email scandal or the Clinton Foundation because those
Interesting.
came out after 2008, but it
Sure.
covers Filegate and Travelgate and some other gates that she's heavily associated with. And
Right.
they have guest stars like Dick Morris, who knows the Clintons, who used to work with them. Ann Coulter is on there, the conservative commentator, and other people who have worked with the Clintons, who describe their behavior. Let's I won't go into any more
N-
than that. So
Right. Now, where did
for
you?
me, I give it 4 stars, but I could
Okay.
see others may not appreciate it as much. So I guess draw your own conclusions. Go ahead.
Okay. Where did you actually view the movie? Movies or rent
On
it or
YouTube.
YouTube? Okay, it is.
Type in Hillary the movie on YouTube. It's an hour and a half long,
Okay.
and it was really a stunning watch, a stunning stunning documentary.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I had heard about it myself. I admit I haven't seen it, but I've heard from different people that it is quite fascinating, and maybe as long as it's legal to watch this election season, maybe it might be a good idea to recommend it as viewing to others. So bravo. Okay. So my second movie, this is something that every every 2 months or so, I get together with two high school friends of mine, Mike and Ralph, and we go to see a movie here in White Plains. And December, I wouldn't say it was a dry month for movies, but well, I guess at the time they had already. I forgot if Star Wars hadn't come out yet or they had already seen it with their families, but we decided to have a look at another movie, which was very appropriate for Christmas time, called Krampus. And I don't. Are you familiar with the actual legend of Krampus at all?
No, I am not.
The actual creature of literature. I learned about Krampus on another show, American Dad.
Okay.
Sort of a cartoonized version. Yeah, basically, Krampus, this is a true legend. He is a sort of an evil version of Santa Claus that comes and kidnaps bad children and takes them away to his prison to be punished. The punishment varies depending on the severity of the offense of the child. But some of the drawings you see of the old Krampus are just like really wretched looking, like a man carrying, like this kid behind his back, a gruesome demon carrying a child behind his back, and like a disgusting looking pouch or a cage, whatever. And the movie captures a little bit of this. Um,
Okay.
Basically, the movie starts out with a family gathering in a really bad storm, an extended family for Christmas time, and of course the power goes out, and things get a little scary. The snow gets worse, the storm's bad, and then they start to see a couple of them when they go outside, hear footsteps, and see a creature, a very huge creature in the distance. Through it all, Grandma um, doesn't appear to speak much English. She seems to speak just German. However, and she's relatively quiet. However, in about 40 minutes into the movie, Grandma suddenly is able to speak English, and she recounts the
Hmm.
legend of Krampus. And
Oh,
it's like a horrifying tale, and you kind of see flashbacks to old Germany, how her parents were killed right in front of her, not by Hitler, by Krampus. And she was spared somehow. Thank heavens, she eluded Krampus's grasp. And here it is many years later, and now Krampus is gradually, I won't give too much away, either kidnapping or killing, or maybe both, all the members of the family gradually. It drags a little for the first 30, 40 minutes, but once it gets to kind of like a certain break point, it gets incredibly entertaining because it's not just Krampus. He's also got these little magical friends who come to life, like these evil little animal figurines that attack people.
hmm.
Apparently, the reason he's there is because he gave the grandmother a relic many years ago, and she still has it in the house. So that somehow summoned him, I believe. And it also summoned all these gruesome little tiny creatures. And it's really good. You have to sit through maybe about 30, 40 minutes where it's a little bit draggy, but after that, it's a great movie. It's not It's kind of comedy horror. It's lighthearted, even though there's dreadful killing and all that in some segments of the movie. It's kind of like a comedy horror, and it's very well done. I would definitely give this 4 stars, and if it's out on Netflix, you're probably going to have to rent it, pay to rent it. It's not going to be free. So
Okay.
if you see it on Amazon or Netflix, or well, Amazon or one of the others, Hulu, I say it's worth the rental.
And when was this movie out? When was it
It
released?
was released in early December of 2015.
Oh, so it just came out then.
Yeah, it's only about 4 months old, so you may have to wait a while before you see it on. You might have it on DVD, but you're gonna have to wait a while before you see it on the rental units out there.
Okay.
So that's my second.
All right. So let me go with my third film.
Okay.
Another political film on a very controversial topic.
Okay.
I will try to keep it in the middle here as best I can. The name of the film is Bridegroom.
Bridegroom.
It's about it's a documentary, and it's about the relationship between two young gay men.
Hmm.
And it's
Interesting.
produced and directed by Linda Bloodworth Thomason, who was featured. Her and her husband were featured very briefly in Hillary the movie. They
Oh.
were mentioned in that movie, so there's a little connection there. And also another connection this has to Hillary the movie. That's why I'm reviewing both of these political movies in the same, back to back here.
Okay.
At the Tribeca Film Festival in 2013,
Hmm.
Bill Clinton got to introduce this movie.
Oh, very
So
nice.
that's where there's a little connection between this movie and Hillary the movie.
Okay.
So let's go back to Bridegroom. It's about a guy named Tom Bridegroom. That's his name.
Okay.
Who is he and his partner Shane Bettany Crone rather. Tom has a tragic accident, and
Okay.
a fatal accident. It's a freak accident, and so he's featured in the film, but only in like video that had previously been taken. Whereas Shane, his partner, is kind of the main character in the film, doing a lot of the describing about what happened and everything. It tells the story of their 6-year-long relationship and the struggles that Shane had faced after Tom's death, which including the fact that Tom's family apparently, according to the film, was not very accepting of their relationship.
Okay.
Um, Here's the thing about the film. It was an easy to follow documentary. You could make the connections with the characters,
Right.
no matter what your position is in same-sex marriage. I feel like it was easy to make a connection with it. I
Right.
found this fascinating and to some extent appalling at the same time.
Okay.
Kind of had mixed feelings about the film.
Yeah.
The reason I found it fascinating was Tom Bridegroom grew up in the same hometown as I did, Knox, Indiana. In
Oh.
fact, Knox, Indiana is featured not prominently, but in some parts of the film. There are scenes of that city that are in the film.
So you have a connection to not well, the
Yeah, I never
characters is
knew
one thing,
Tom.
but the background.
I know some people. I know some people named with that last name in my hometown,
Oh.
but I never knew Tom. Or his parents.
Okay.
Um, so that part was fascinating for me. One thing I found kind of maybe disappointing was I felt that the film, in parts, was on the propaganda side. Not the entire film, but parts of it were on the propaganda side.
Okay.
Again, it depends on your position on same-sex marriage.
Right.
Those who are for it would probably have a different opinion.
Right.
But that's what I found about the movie.
Hmm.
I give it 2 stars because of the propaganda element. Otherwise, I would have given it more because there were other elements of the film that was very good. And the only other thing I have to say is rest in peace, Tom Bridegroom.
Yes, indeed. I was, as you were recounting it, I was looking at the Wikipedia entry. So I guess yeah, it was a feature film. It was premiered at Tribeca. I don't know if it got any awards there, but it also has sort of an interesting soundtrack as well.
Yeah, the
Uh,
group Fun has at least one song. One of their popular songs is in the film, and a few other maybe two of their other songs are in there as well. And they
Carry On.
so they're famous for what's the name of that song?
Carry On.
Carry On is in the film. That's the one that's in the film.
Right.
Um, Toward the end. What's their famous song? We Are Young, I think.
Oh, yes. Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's their most popular song, but
Right.
that might have been in the film too. I'm not sure. I thought there was more than one of their songs in the film. But Carry On is definitely a prominent song in the film.
Okay.
Without going into the film too much. Strangely enough, the reason I know about this film is because I was looking at Wikipedia
Okay.
under Knox, Indiana, and it mentions that in the film. Famous people in the film
Ah.
mentions Tom Bridegroom, who is featured in this film.
Ah. Okay.
That's how I know about this film. My
Oh,
girlfriend
interesting. Yeah.
Nancy and I saw this, and she has Netflix, and so one time we watched it at her place.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, Netflix and chill, exactly.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so that certainly sounds interesting. I would actually be curious to view it myself.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
should watch it just to, for and draw your own conclusions about the film.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I might do that in the near future, maybe as a follow-up. That would certainly be interesting. Now let's see. Now my first two movies, I guess you could say, were kind of mainstream. Then I have a list I've been maintaining of about 45 movies that I've watched the past year or so on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Crackle, Popcorn. You get a lot of stations with Roku. And I'm just basically picking one of them. I thought this turned out to be kind of interesting. I think I might have watched this on one of our snowstorm nights. I'd call this a psychological thriller. It was released in 2013. It's called Coherence. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember. It's not really a major list of stars. There is one person whose name I kind of remembered, again because of the Clintons of all things. She was an actress. Her name's Elizabeth Ward Greeson, and apparently she was one of Bill's, you know,
One of
girls.
he was
One
trying
of
to hit on her.
Yes, one of those. But that's all minor. That's minor stuff. But
Love your movies.
we're all
Watch the movie
connected.
Died.
Yeah, I'm going to get you a film in a psychological thriller. But yeah, at first I didn't know what to make of this. I read the what do you call it, the synopsis. I said, all right, this could be kind of interesting. And again, this is, I guess you could call this a minimalist film. Basically, the premise is this. Uh, Four couples get together in this house, kind of. Well, the first thing you see in the movie is as the girl, the protagonist or antagonist, hard to decide, is driving. She sees a comet pass overhead, and she makes her way to a dinner party at a house. There's four couples basically, and they're together. And it's kind of slow at the beginning, about 20 minutes of BSing and all that, and they talk a little about the comet. Now you see strange moments, kind of where the screen goes blank for like a second and comes back. So more on that later. You don't think much of it at the time, but then the power goes out and their phones stop working and the candles get lit. So they don't know what to do. There's no phone, whatever. So they're looking around and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere and they see one house in the distance. So two of them decide that they're going to go over there to the house and make a call, ask to use the phone, make a call, whatever, blah, blah. So they walk over there and they're waiting and waiting. And then when the two of them come, and they've got these glow sticks in their hand. That's very key to this movie. They got these blue glow sticks in their hand. And when they come back, one of them has a wound on his head. The other guy is a little bit dumbfounded, and they're not talking too much. And they finally like, well, and they have a box with them. And they're like, well, what'd you see over there? And finally, when the unwounded guy talks, he says, we looked in the window and we saw the same all of the eight of us sitting at the table, the same furniture and everything. And it's kind of like a freak out moment. And then the box is there at the table, and it gets freakier because, well, I'm not going to give away too much, but I'll just tell you this. Basically, they found a house in another universe, and there's people in that house too that are them essentially from the other universe, and they've got different color glow sticks. So when those two guys go into another room later on and the camera's on them, their glow sticks are not blue, they're red.
Uh-oh.
So basically, it's a strange movie. It's kind of good. It's not like in your face. It's not like horrifying things are happening. There's some very tense moments, in the middle and at the end of the movie. But it's kind of like you have to struggle a little to follow it, but it's exciting. There's actually a website. You basically discover in the movie there's not just two universes. There's a lot of universes with a lot of different colored glow sticks. But there's actually people who have dedicated websites to following the different timelines of the different houses and characters. I will say, it culminates in a rather exciting ending.
Okay.
So that part is good. And even though there's just mystery at the beginning, there's a little bit of violence towards the end. I'll just give you that. So coherence, I'm only going to give this one 3 stars because at times it dragged a little and it became a little difficult at times to follow. But once you've watched it, you're kind of like itching to kind of go back through the movie and see, reinterpret what happened. So if you got an interesting evening at home alone and you want to try something a little different, I would give Coherence a shot. So three
Okay.
stars.
That's worth seeing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. The red glow sticks held by the Republicans and the blue ones held by the Democrats.
Ah, I got from the looks of these people, I think they were all kind of liberal Democrats to begin with, but yeah, they're kind of wealthy. What's the word? So yuppies. They seem kind of yuppie types anyway. So I guess that could go either way.
They got paid thousands of dollars to give a speech by Goldman Sachs.
No, not to my knowledge, and I'm wondering if the green glow sticks were socialists or libertarians, but
Maybe the Green Party.
the Green Party. Oh, of course. Okay, but yeah, Coherence, one of many good sci-fi thrillers out there on Netflix, or maybe
Okay.
it's Amazon Prime. I'll double
And
check.
it was coherent to watch too.
And well, it was coherent, but just gotta coherently follow it along.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. I guess we've done 3 movies each, right? Do we have
Yeah.
time for one more each or two more?
Well, we're at about the 27-minute mark. Let's give it a shot. You want to just try one more?
Let's just yeah, maybe we can do
Yeah,
one
that's fine.
more. All right, we're going to shift from politics to sports for this last film.
Excellent.
This is 30 for 30, the '85 Bears,
Hmm.
and this is a documentary about the 30-year retrospective on the 1985 Chicago Bears, the team that won the Super Bowl that year. And
Indeed.
it documents how they were assembled to their swaggering, dominant run to their Super Bowl victory.
Wow.
I got to tell you, this was outstanding. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, and it does help. But even
Okay.
if you're a football fan and you like some other team, you'll like this film. It talks about all. It covers most of the games throughout the season, at least the key games. But it also covers the relationships in the film as well, like with the players and the coaches between Ditka and Buddy Ryan, who maybe didn't see eye to eye all the time.
Hmm.
So it's very informational. It covered some of the behind the scenes things. It even covered Jim McMahon drinking a beer at a press conference.
They were a memorable team. I mean, even if you weren't a fan, even young kids now know about the '85 Bears and some
Yeah,
of the individuals.
and the Super Bowl Shuffle was mentioned in the film, of
Oh,
course.
you could do a movie on that alone.
You could probably do a movie on that alone, exactly.
Hell
But
yeah.
it was very informative. It was very fun to watch. But there were portions that were very moving. And
Hmm.
you wouldn't expect that in a sports film, but there were portions that were pretty moving.
No.
Not to the extent of maybe The Notebook or something like that, but
Oh
it was a
dear.
moving film in parts, I got to tell you. So overall, very good, very very fun to watch, and very nostalgic. And I give that one 4 stars.
Excellent. And as long as we're mentioning the 30 for 30 specials and Chicago, I'm not going to review it now, but another very good one of that series was the Steve Bartman one.
Hmm.
Uh, If you haven't seen that, definitely give it a look. Outstanding, well
See
done.
that, maybe review it. I would like to see that because
Y-
that's
Yeah, I'll make
that
it a
was quite compelling.
yeah.
And I think 30 for 30 also has something on the week of, is it June 11th or June 12th, 1994?
And we did a show on that.
We did a show on that
Yeah.
too.
hmm
Yeah. But
I,
ESPN had something on that. That's an hour long. That was fascinating to watch because every sport had something major happen that week.
right, right. Yeah, I would be willing to take a look at that as well. But you know what? I'll add the Bartman special to my list, and we can both review that one.
Oh, okay. I'd like to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend. Okay, now my fourth movie, I guess, is not. It's actually not one movie. It's kind of a series of movies. Were you at all into now in the 1980s? There was a whole slew of campy, low-budget horror movies. If you'll kind of remember,
Hmm.
if you've heard the name Toxic Avenger, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Heard of that.
whole series of movies, even that went into the 90s, like starring this character Toxie. Um, there basically is a filming group called Troma that did that, and there was others like I wouldn't necessarily call them low budget, but there was like Crybaby, and there was The Wraith, a whole series of very campy horror movies. You could probably think of a few later on, I suppose, but there was one that I had never one set, three movies that I had never seen, and it was basically the Sleepaway Camp series.
Okay.
Okay. This was three movies. Let me make sure I get the year. I believe the first one was 1986. Second one was 88. The third was 89. I might be a little off on the years, but that was basically it. Um, they get better as they go on, in my opinion. They just get better as they proceed to the
That's ironic because usually they get worse. The higher the sequel number, the worse the movie.
precisely, precisely. Now it got better up to the third, and I was made to understand that in the 90s and 2000s they attempted more sequels, and they were not quite as good. But
Okay.
for the main three, great. The first the first one was kind of like the real low budget version where they were kind of just I guess just getting their feet wet in this. Basically, in general, for all three, the action takes place at a very poorly run summer camp. I think it's somewhere in, I forgot where exactly the setting is. I know in real life it was Pennsylvania, but I'm not sure where it is in the movie. And basically, you have 80% of the kids are jerks, a small fraction are losers, and there is one Angela. So in the first movie, Angela, the character, is relatively younger, and she is not quite the trained psychopathic killer that she becomes in the latter two movies. She's kind of forced into it because she's picked on and everything, and she kind of some of the murders happen by accident, but then by the end of the movie, she's just kind of bloodthirsty. Um, so the first one, if I'm going to give stars, I guess the first I'd give maybe just like 2 stars, maybe two and a half. But the ending, the very last scene in the first movie is WTF. If nothing else, just go on YouTube and find the ending scene from the first Sleepaway Camp.
We're not
It's
talking. Welcome to Facebook.
not welcome to favor. This is I was just mouth agape. It was just bizarre, and apparently it's like one of the most well-known campy endings of movies ever. So at least watch for that. So that was the first one. The second one got a little better, and Angela is a little more grown up. Oh, by the way, in the first one, there's a little backstory about how Angela sort of came to be. It's interesting, you know. You see her effed up childhood and what kind of creates her. But the second movie, now Angela's a little older. Actually in the first movie she's played by someone named Felissa Rose. She is actually not as well known an actress now, but apparently she is friends with some of my friends on Facebook, so that's interesting. I guess she's based out of the New York area. The second movie, a more well-known name takes over. Her name is Pamela, the actress. Her name is Pamela Springsteen.
Hmm.
Yes, that's Springsteen. She is the boss's sister.
Okay.
And this was her only claim to fame, apparently, although she's now a well-known photographer. So the second movie, I believe it's the same camp. Uh, Maybe not, I stand corrected. It's a different camp. The kids are even more jerky. There's great. Let me tell you, there's gratuitous nudity in all three. And the second one, it's there. The third one, it's even better. And the girls are pretty attractive as 80s girls go. So the second movie, now Angela has a sort of, she's got to get even now. So her movies are her killings now are even better and bloodier and more, what's the word, more creative. Some of the characters, basically, she's a counselor now at the camp. In the first one, she was an attendee. Now she makes her way in as a counselor. So now she has a little bit more power and can trick people into things and all that. So again, it's kind of campy. It's low budget, but you will find yourself kind of continually glued to the screen to see what happens, and both laughing and shocked at the same time. So for this one, I give this one 3 stars. The second one, again, low budget, campy, but good low budget and campy. The third one, even better. Um, More nudity, more action, better killings. The characters are actually pretty good, and for a while you think Angela's actually getting close, like romantically close to one of the characters, and unfortunately she's very analogous to kind of like Michael Myers or something. Like she won't kill you at first, but the moment you display some kind of asshole quality, or if you're caught having relations with somebody, you're dead. So that tends to be the overriding theme in a lot of horror movies. If you have sex on screen, somebody's going to kill you, like Jason or somebody, not Freddy, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but extremely enjoyable. So the third one I'll give 3.5 stars. There were absolute, other than Pamela Springsteen, if you could call her that. I don't think there were any big names in any of the three movies. It's all like second-rate actors, one-time only actors. But if you're going to enjoy some 80s horror camp, definitely watch the Sleepaway Camp series.
Okay.
So, very enjoyable.
I can't say I've heard of them, but late '80s films, maybe something to check out sometime.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you guys out there, if you just want to see some parts, well, interesting. There was a movie I saw with a girlfriend I had in the '80s called Night of the Demons.
Okay.
And it was a pretty good movie, actually. I'm going to review that one on a future show. And it takes place in a funeral home, and there's nudity in that one, too. And there's one really cool scene where a couple is sort of in a coffin doing it, and the girl pops out of the coffin, beautiful Asian girl, and wearing nothing on top. And it turns out she is also in Sleepaway Camp 3. Her name is Jill Terashita. She's pretty. She hasn't acted in anything since, but she is equally unclothed for part of Sleepaway Camp 3. So there you have it.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's,
it's good reviews.
yeah.
Our first review show. I'm sure we'll do many more.
Oh, absolutely. I want to definitely do this more. And I want to get ideas from people out there. If you have anything that you'd like to guest on or just recommend that we watch, send me an email, send Brett an email.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're gonna wrap this up now, and okay, just to summarize, my four, Ted 2, which is probably available for rental on Amazon and other outlets. Krampus, which I think shortly will be available for rental on those same outlets. Coherence, which if you have Netflix, you can get it for free now. You might be able to rent it from some other locations, including Redbox. And finally, the Sleepaway Camp series, which it's on Amazon Prime and on Netflix, and who knows, you might even be able to find it on YouTube or on Netflix or on the internet out there for free.
Okay. My four were The Dictator, which probably should be on Netflix. Hillary the movie, which most likely you will only be able to see on YouTube.
Okay.
Bridegroom was available on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. And then finally, 30 for 30, the 85 Bears. That was on Netflix recently, but it may not be for very long. And I don't know if it'll ever make it to YouTube, but those are my 4 movies.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to wrap this up and say thank you all for watching and enjoy the movies.
Enjoy the movies.
Take care, everyone.